Good day, everyone. This is EP2150 Unit 4. So the quiz for EP2150 is Units 1, 3, and 4. There is no Unit 2. So today we're going to do Unit 4, and let's get going. Okay, so Unit 4, conducting a feasibility analysis and crafting or writing a winning business plan. Okay, so planning the launch of a new business requires a strategic plan that defines the purpose of the business, analyzes internal and external environment, so the PESTLE, and the marketing factors, the 4 Ps, develop goals and strategies. So this is really, you come up with your idea, and then you set a plan for how you're going to execute that idea. So this is kind of a brainstorming process. It's having conversations with other people in business, maybe a mentor, you're doing some research, okay, and then you move into the business model feasibility study. And that is, this idea I have, how likely is it to succeed? So the business model, selling to customers, who, how, where, at what price. So what is it you're offering? What problem are you going to solve? Is it the problem of this neighborhood needs a convenience store because there's no convenience store nearby? Is the problem there are several business clients who need a higher level of service for their IT infrastructure, and you're going to offer that service? You have to find the problem. And then how are you going to solve the problem? Who's going to be your customer? How are you going to deliver the goods or service? From where are you going to operate? And what prices are you going to charge? Okay, so then you create the feasibility study. And the feasibility study is, in some degrees, very similar to business research, where you research a business idea and try to find out how many people like your idea. And it doesn't have to be primary research. It can be more informal, but that's one example. Should the business idea be implemented? Because that's a risk. At that point, if you decide to implement your business idea, money has to come forward to get this thing started, right? So you have to have a good reason, good research, good understanding of exactly what you're going to do. And that's where the business model feasibility study comes in. Will it work? Will the business be successful and profitable? Sometimes there's no way of knowing until you start the business. But the more research you do, the higher the probability that your business will be successful, or you'll know this business idea shouldn't be implemented. Once you realize the business is likely to succeed, you then write a business plan. Okay, and the business plan is a detailed written summary of the business. It provides an overview of the business model, how it's going to operate, the strategies you're going to use, how operations are going to work, what resources you're going to need, whether it be equipment and people, and the expected financial results. How profitable do you think it's going to be? And how the plans for the business will be implemented. Okay, and that's the business plan. So the business plan is a written document, and it's basically a complete guide to the business for you to follow once the business begins, and then for you to reflect back upon as you're running the business to see how accurate your predictions are and to modify it to be able to make better predictions in the future. Okay, the business plan, a written summary of the entrepreneur's proposed business venture, the operational and financial details, the marketing opportunities and strategies, and the manager's or more than one manager's skills and abilities. The business plan is the best insurance against launching a business destined to fail or mismanaging a potentially successful business. Because not only when you write the business plan is it for you, you're going to let your business mentor or other business people that you trust look at this business plan and give you advice as well. And it's easier for them to review the business plan than for you to have a conversation, and from time to time your conversation changes and you're giving different people a different view of your business. Put it on paper, and the paper then can't lie, because sometimes we do lie to ourselves. Sometimes the business plan shows that the business will not work. That information is also valuable to an entrepreneur because it will save you time and money. The plan must pass 3 tests. The reality test, proving that the market really does exist for your product or service. You can actually build or provide it for the cost estimates in the plan. The competitive test evaluates the company's position relative to its competitors. Is somebody else already doing it in such a great way that it's going to be difficult for you to get clients? That's important to know. Management's ability to create a company that will gain an edge over its competition. The value test, proving that the venture offers investors and lenders an attractive rate of return or a high probability of repayment. If you're going to ask people for money to start your business, unless it's your father and he's just given you a gift, or somebody in your family and they're not interested in success or not, they just want to, be nice to you, everybody else is going to be interested in what's in it for me. Okay, and so your business plan and your research has to prove this value test, that they want to see they're going to get their money back. The business plan has two essential functions. The primary purpose, guiding the company by charting its future course and define its strategy for following it. Okay, so you set how your business is going to be run, and then you follow it like it's a map. And the secondary purpose, attracting lenders and investors who will provide needed capital. Why take the time to build a business plan? Although building a plan does not guarantee success, it does increase your chances of succeeding in business. A plan is like a roadmap that serves as a guide on the journey through unfamiliar, harsh, and dangerous territory. Don't attempt the trip without a map. Okay, so what would happen if you start a business without a business plan, you have nothing written down, every day is going to be an adventure, you're not documenting things, and it's just not going to be efficient. Okay, and just much like we go to school, we have textbooks, and textbooks lay out a plan. You have a course syllabus, the course syllabus lays out the plan. Could you imagine doing a course where every day nobody knew what was going to go on, and we just, off the top of our head, we decided to teach something, and by the end of the course, you might be just as lost as you began. And that's the same thing as a business plan. You need to have it written down. Benefits of creating a business plan. Okay, percent of business owners. 64% with a business plan grow their business. No business plan, 43%. So people who with a business plan outperform. They do better when they have a business plan. They secure capital investment. So people lend them money 36% of the time. That's double the people without the business plan. And secure a loan, same thing. All right. So this is from a bank. So a bank looks much more favorably on you if you have a business plan, because they're going to take you seriously that you've actually spent time thinking about this idea. Guides for preparing a business plan. The business plan is a professional document. You may have different versions for different purposes, internal versus lender or investor. So your internal might have a few extra details of your operation that are kind of like your secrets. And the ones to the lender and the investor might be a little more general, because they don't need to know exactly every detail, especially if they're not experts in that area. Provide enough detail to be concise. You want someone to read it. Okay, no one can create the plan for you. Often, and this is, for myself, I get emails of people asking me to write a business plan, and I do it. And mostly they just want the business plan, so then they take it to the bank, secure the loan, and then they never look at the plan again, and it's very bad for their business. It's more important that you are involved. You could have a consultant help you and help you with the financials. You can bring in somebody who's good in HR and help you with an HR plan and a marketing plan, but it's your responsibility to understand every aspect of the business plan. Potential lenders want to see financial projections, but they are more interested in the strategies for reaching these projections. So what the bank is going to do is they're going to look at your plan, they'll read the executive summary, they might jump straight to the financials and look at how profitable it's going to be, and they're not just going to say, oh, this is going to make 3 million real a year, here's your loan. They're going to see your prediction of 3 million real, and then they're going to jump back to the marketing section and say, how is he going to do this? So they are interested in the bottom line, that 3 million reals or whatever you're saying the profit is going to be in your business plan. But then they're going to dig into how is this going to happen, and then they're going to see whether or not that's realistic. Okay, show how you plan to set your business apart from the competitors. Don't fall in the Me Too trap. And that means, just think of coffee shops here. 100 people open a coffee shop, and then you think, me too. I'll open a coffee shop, because if one guy can do it, I can do it. A student from 2019 had opened a coffee shop, and that student came to me and told me, sir, in my first month we had 200,000 reals in profit. The next month, 80,000 reals in profit. The third month, 20,000 reals in profit. It was a new coffee shop. Everybody wanted to try it. Once they tried it, they just moved on. And it got to the, and he got in a little bit of trouble too, because he had 6 months left on his lease of the rental for the place that he had to pay for with no revenue. Okay, so you can get into trouble if you just follow the Me Too. They started a business, I'm going to start the same business. Identify your target market and offer evidence that customers for your product or service exist. Okay, make sure you understand who your target market is, the people that are going to buy your product. Make sure your plan has an attractive cover. First impressions matter. Okay, so when they look at the business plan, and we're going to talk about a few things here, things like spelling and grammatical errors. The more errors that are in your business plan that are avoidable, it's just going to, they're going to have a bad first impression of you, and you could lose the ability to get financing. Make your plan visually appealing. It should look nice, well organized. Include a table of contents to allow readers to navigate your plan easily. The spelling and grammar, no errors. Make it interesting, so your writing counts, how you write the plan. Your plan must prove that the business will make money, not necessarily immediately, but eventually. Use spreadsheets, so use Excel or Google Sheets to generate financial forecasts. Always include cash flow projections. Cash flow projections are each month what money is coming in, and each month what money has to go out. And if you put this into Excel, you can actually update it live after you create, say you created 3 years worth for every month, so 36 months into the future. And then when you run your business, you actually can start plugging in the numbers. And over time, you're going to see the trend of where you're heading. Are you going to be better off, or are you going to be worse off than your plan? And if you're looking like it's worse off, you have to start making adjustments in marketing, cutting costs, doing something to help make sure your business stays profitable. Keep your plan crisp, and by that being 20 and 40 pages long. Don't make it so short that there's not enough detail, and so long that it's just painful to read and people to stop reading the plan. Okay? And always tell the truth. Always. Because you're dealing with other people's money. You do not deceive people when it comes to people lending you money, because it's your reputation. And if they find out there was some kind of deception, you'll have a very difficult time getting a loan for the next plan. Resource to help with the business plan. There's no substitute for the process that the entrepreneur goes through when completing their own business plan. But there are resources available. So you can get business plan templates, bank, small business development centers, etc. So the template just basically has all the headings. And it makes sure, it's kind of like a checklist, you make sure you cover all those headings. Professionals such as accountants, lawyers, lenders, and other entrepreneurs can help you. Okay, professional software products that help you with the business plan. And they basically ask you lots of questions, and then it puts the plan together for you. Government-sponsored business development agencies such as Qatar Development Bank, Qatar Business Incubation Center, and Qatar Science and Technology Park. These are places that can help you with your idea and to get your business started. Okay, key elements of a business plan. So this is really would make up the table of contents. Okay, so no two business plans are exactly alike, because no two businesses are exactly alike, but there are common elements that should be included in every business plan. So a title page and the table of contents. An executive summary, which is, it's 2 or 3 pages long, and if it, say you have a business plan that's 40 pages. If you summarize those 40 pages into 2 or 3 pages, that's the executive summary. And if they only read the executive summary, those 2 or 3 pages, they have a good understanding of what your business is about, and then they'll decide whether or not they're going to read the business plan. So your executive summary is a summary of each section of the business plan and the most important elements of it. Vision and mission statement, the company history, business and industry profile, goals and objectives, the strategy, the business strategy, description of products and services that you're going to offer, marketing strategy. Okay, document market claims. So this is your research. Okay, are you just going to do secondary research? Are you going to do some primary research? How are you proving that the strategy is going to work? Okay, show customer interest. How do you know customers are interested in your product or service? Okay, then competitor analysis, description of the management team. So who's on the management team? Tell who they are. Describe them like a biography, so when the lender knows who's going to be managing this company. Plan of operation. So day to day, how are you running this business? Think about, say it's a retail shop that sells clothing. Operations. So when do you make your orders? Where do you store the orders when they come in? How do you display the products? What are the hours of the operations of the business? What are the employees' hours? What are the roles of the employees? Okay, this is the operation of the business, how the business runs. Projected financial statements. So these are 1, 2, or 3 years future financial projections that you're stating to your lender. This is what I expect the business to have in the sense of what its costs are, what its revenues are, and what my profit should be. Okay, so it's an income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statements generally. Loan and investment proposal. Okay, and appendices supporting documentation, resumes, if you did any primary or secondary research, those sorts of things. Okay, so in detail, title page and table of contents. Professional document gives a first impression about the company, includes name, logo, contact information, date. Table of contents and page numbers make it easier for the reader. Just these little details make it so much easier for the reader. Executive summary, brief summary of the entire business plan. Now it says here maximum 2 pages, but it depends, right? You might want 2 or 3 pages. Don't go past 3, but it's important that the summary is well written and it's interesting. So don't worry about the maximum 2. It could be 1, 2, or 3. Company name, address, and contact numbers. Brief description of the business, products, or services. Brief overview of the market for your products or service. Brief overview of your company's competitive advantage. Brief description of managerial and technical experience of key people. Brief statement of financing needs and how funds will be used. Brief highlight of financial forecasts. Okay, these are the most important things to put in to your executive summary. So it's a summary of the most important parts of the plan. Vision and mission statement. The entrepreneur's vision of the company, where it sees the company's future. What business are we in? What's the company's purpose? Values and principles on which the business stands. What makes the business unique? What is the source of its competitive advantage? Company history. Company founding. How and when did the company get started? Or the company hasn't been started yet, right? You're writing a new business plan for a brand new company, so there is no history. But you can talk about the origins of your idea. Maybe you had this idea 2 years ago, and you talk about how you track trends in your market, and then finally, after tracking trends with your idea, that you realize now's the time to start the business. What has happened so far? From the point you deliver this plan, what steps have you taken in getting this business started up? Who have you talked to? Who's given you advice? Those kinds of things. What advice have you been given? Financial and operational highlights, significant achievements, develop of the product or service, patents, license, contracts, etc. So have you put some things in place already that make the business look even more feasible? Business and industry profile, industry analysis, industry background and overview, significant trends, growth rate, key success factors in the industry. If you look up in the College of the North Atlantic, Qatar's library, in business research, MR2300, the librarian came in and talked about Passport, the Passport database. The Passport database has growth rates for almost every industry in most countries and regions of the world. And you can find growth rates for almost every industry in the world. Okay. Outlook for future stage of growth. So is your business going to go through different stages of growth, and what's going to happen? Company goals and objectives, operational. Okay, operationally, from a day-to-day operations, what are the goals and objectives? Financial goals and objectives, and any other goals and objectives that you might have. Business strategy. How will the company achieve this plan? Okay, so what actions will it take? So when you say we're going to make 3 million riyals a year, how are you going to make those 3 million riyals a year? What's the strategy to do that? Desired image and position in the market. SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, what opportunities and threats exist externally. Competitive strategy, cost leadership, differentiation, focus. So we talked about those in Unit 3, I believe. Company products and service. So describe the products and services, their features. Customer benefits. What does the customer get from using your product or service? Are there warranties and guarantees? How is your product or service unique? Okay, do you have a patent or trademark protection? Have you invented something or some kind of a process, and did you apply for a patent? This is important if you have that. But you don't always need a patent or trademark. Okay, description of production processes if applicable. So are there raw materials? Say you're making the shirts. Okay, are there raw materials involved? What are the costs? Who are the key suppliers? Future product and service offerings. Okay, are you going to do some changes, make advanced products, bring in new lines of products or services? Discuss those. Marketing strategy. Who is your target market? Okay, so a complete demographic profile of your market. Who in that market then do you believe to be your primary customer? And if you recall, we discussed that in great detail in business research, if you did business research, or in marketing 2 and marketing 1. The target market is, there's a whole market, it's everybody. And if you're selling shirts, are you selling shirts to t-shirts? What kind of people generally wear t-shirts? What kind of a t-shirt is it? Is it expensive? Is it mostly polyester? Is it a high quality cotton? What price will you be selling it? Because that could dictate your market. Is it mostly female oriented or male oriented? Younger demographic, older demographic? Tell exactly who your target market is and why that's your target market. Customers' motivation to buy. What's going to motivate them to want to buy your product? Market size and trends. How large is the market? Is it growing or shrinking? How fast? Are there more people coming into the market? Or are there people leaving your market because of, they're leaving the country or leaving the city? Advertising and promotion. Media used. So is it going to be radio, television, newspaper, social media, website based, Instagram? How are you going to do this? Email marketing. What are the costs of advertising and promotion? Frequency of usage. How often are you going to advertise and promote? Plans for generating publicity. How are you going to get media talking about you? Okay. Marketing strategy. Pricing. How are you going to price your product? So you have to look at the cost structure. Do you have fixed and variable cost into your product? And then are you going to mark up the product based on your costs? Desired image in the market. Sometimes a product sells poorly because it's too cheap, and people don't want a cheap product. So you increase the price, and they go, "Oh yeah, I want the 25 real coffee. I don't want the 3 real coffee, because that's a cheap coffee." Price has a psychological factor. Comparison against competitors' prices. So how are you going to decide what kind of pricing you're going to do? Distribution. How are you going to sell your product? Channels of distribution use. Are you going to sell it directly from retail? Is it going to be online sales? Are you going to make a product and get retailers to sell your product for you? Are you going to have salespeople going around business to business selling their products? So you have to decide how people are going to buy your product or service. Sales techniques and incentives. How are you going to motivate people to sell your product? Okay, or how are you going to motivate people to buy your product? Marketing strategy. Location. So where are you going to locate your business? Demographic analysis of location compared to the target market. So if you're opening a retail shop in Doha, you have to think about what your product is, who it's intended for, and then think about the demographics of the different neighborhoods of Qatar, or even the traffic flows, where the busiest places are. Are you going to lease or rent a physical location? Labor needs and supply. Do you have a market where you can find the right people to work in your business? Okay, and what wage or salaries are you going to pay? Okay, based on that market. Okay, layout, size and requirements of the business. Regulatory requirements, persons with disability access. Does your place of location, is there a law requiring disabled people easy access to your building? Okay, ergonomic issues. Ergonomics is kind of how the human, our physical form, interacts with its environment. Okay, are there any issues with your location and people being able to move through your location and interact with your what you're selling? Floor plan. So how are you laying out exactly where the merchandise is in your business? If you're offering a service business that goes direct to another business, so say you're in the IT world and they never come into your office, Maybe floor plan is not so important in your marketing strategy. Your floor plan might be more important in your HR strategy because only your employees are going to be on the floor plan. Okay, so all these things had to be considered. Okay, competitor analysis. Existing competitors. Who are they? Create a competitive profile matrix. So list all the competitors. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And where do you fit in amongst them? Potential competitors. Competitors who may enter the market. Who are they? Impact on your business if they enter. So today you might do an analysis and say, yeah, there's 10 competitors in Doha who are doing this business. But in 2 or 3 years, will there still only be 10 or could there be 15? Okay, this is hard to predict, but you have to think about what's the potential for more people to come in because there's only so much money to be made from any particular service or product. Description of the management team. The ability of the management team to successfully implement the business plan is the most important success factor for the business. Provide an overview of key managers, shareholders, and employees, their backgrounds, their experience, skills, and the know-how they bring to the company. Because your human resources is your most important asset in the business. Now you have to have the ability to pay them, but your ability to make money is based on the quality of employees or partners you have in your business. Okay, resumes of key managers and employees suitable for the appendix, so at the end of the business plan. Plan of operation. Form of ownership chosen and reasoning. So are you going to be a sole proprietor, just you in the business? Is it going to be a partnership? Is it going to be a corporation? How are you structuring the business? Okay, company structure, organization chart. So that's like an HR chart. Who's ultimately in charge? What managers are under that person in charge? What employees are under those managers? Who has decision-making authority? Who can write checks? Who can move money around the business? Who can deal with returns for the business? All these sorts of things. So if you're selling a product, can any employee in the company, when a customer comes back, give a 100% refund for a product that customer didn't like? Who has those authorities? Compensation and benefits package. How are you paying your employee? All our key business functions covered? Production, accounting, marketing, HR, information technology, etc. Will any business functions be outsourced? So if it's a small business, you're not going to have an IT manager for your little coffee shop. Okay, you might not even have a human resource manager. Maybe you have a consultant who, maybe 4 or 5 hours a month helps you go through resumes, helps with the hiring process, but you don't have the resources to hire a dedicated human resource manager. Where will the business be located? Is there room for future growth? Okay, will the company own or rent? So if you buy a location, if you rent a location, is it only as big as you need it now? And if your business grows, do you have to move? All right. So when I started my marketing company back in 2008, I ran it out of my home. Okay. And then I moved to an office that was made for 2 people. But eventually, 6 people were in the office. So then we moved again to another office. So there was 3 moves through the growth of my business. And what's not good when you move your business is informing the customers that you moved, because you're leaving a trail of old addresses and it can cause confusion amongst businesses. So you have to think about that in the future growth of your business. Financial forecasts. Startup budget. Okay, what do you need to start your business? Projected pro forma, that means in the future, financial statements. Income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. Detailed monthly plan for first year or 2 of operations. Break-even analysis. That's basically what's the minimum amount of revenue is required where your business is at 0 profit. It doesn't incur a loss. It doesn't incur a profit. It just paid for all of its expenses. You don't owe anything, but you still haven't earned anything. Okay, so that's important to understand. Include assumptions for how the projections were determined. So these financial projections. Provide details about the sources of financing. Owner's equity, so your own money, loans, or other investors. Is there family, friends, who's given you the resources to start this business? Be realistic. Okay, know going in, most businesses do fail. Very few businesses are successful right away. And with that coffee shop example, he went from 80,000 to 20 to 2, I believe, whatever the numbers I said they were. if he had 80, 160, 300,000 reals the next month, 600,000, and a million reals a month from a coffee shop, one location, that's not realistic. Ratio analysis with comparison to industry standards. So with some of these things you might not be familiar with. You should have done them in Accounting 1 and 2, but they'll be discussed a little more detail in the coming chapters. But right now you just need to understand the very basics of these. Loan or investment proposal. How much money are you requesting? How are you going to use the money? Okay. How are you going to repay the money? Expected return and exit strategy for an investor. So an investor is going to give you 1,000,000 reals. They want more than 1,000,000 reals back after 2 or 3 years. What do they get back? Okay. And when they exit, do they exit with just the principal, the 1,000,000 reals they lent you, plus a certain percent of extra money? Or are they always going to be a part owner of the business and you're always going to have to pay them a certain percent of your profits? What's that agreement look like? Okay, timeline for implementing the plan and launching the business. Okay, and then the appendices. Supporting documents including marketing research, financial statements, organizational charts, resumes, and other items. Okay. Okay, what lenders and investors look for in a business plan? It's called the 5 C's of credit. So somebody that's going to lend you money. The 5 C's are capital, capacity, collateral, character, and conditions. I'm just going to pop out here. Okay, so capacity, your ability to repay. Capital, okay, debt to equity. Owners must have an investment at risk. So very few lenders are willing to put up 100% of the money you require. Often, and the general rule in Canada is they want to see you at least put in 25 to 50% of the funds required. Because if they're putting in 1,000,000 reals and you put in 0, you're not showing you have any belief in your business. Okay, so if you put in half of the investment and ask the bank for the other half, that shows the bank that you believe in this business. Collateral. Security, personal or business assets. So they're going to lend you 1,000,000 reals. What if your business fails? Have you put any collateral into it? Do you have any real estate or any other investments, or is somebody going to co-sign your loan that if the business fails, the bank is still guaranteed to get its money some way? Character, reputation, honesty, professionalism, background, references, credit history. This is your character. And that's why earlier we said always be honest in your business plan, because if you run a business, they find out you lied and the business fails, it hurts your character and it's going to hurt your ability to get a future loan. Conditions. Controls what the lender imposes on the business to reduce risk. Could be financial performance or other. Examples, financial reporting. Do they want to see a report from you every quarter, every 3 months about how the business is running? Okay. Ratios to maintain. So the bank or your lender might look at some certain ratios and decide if your ratio goes below a certain amount, they're going to stop funding you. All right, we'll talk about those ratios later on. There's liquidity ratios. There's many different ratios. Debt to equity ratios. Okay, limits on management bonuses. So if a bank lends you 1,000,000 reals, they're probably not going to look too favorably if you say, you know what, we're going to take that 1,000,000 and we're going to share it to the managers as a performance bonus. That looks so bad. All the money the bank lends you should go into your business, not into bonuses for the owners. Taking equity out of the company. The bank can control your ability to sell certain assets to take money for yourself. Okay. We'll go back up to full view. Okay, presenting a plan. Okay, so when you meet with the bank or a lender, provide your business plan in advance of the meeting. Don't just give them the plan the first time you see them. Give them some time to be able to review it. Be enthusiastic, but not overly emotional. Have some energy. Know your audience thoroughly, who you're talking to. Do they already understand your business? Does this lender understand your business? Then you can use a different kind of language than a lender who really doesn't understand your business, and you have to be more careful with your words and make sure, it's called talking over them or talking over their head. Keep it on their language level. Hook investors quickly with an upfront explanation of the venture, its opportunities, and its benefits to them. So a very quick summary of why this business is a good idea. Hit the highlights. Focus on details later. Keep your presentation simple, 2 or 3 major points. Avoid overloading your audience with technological jargon. So if you're meeting a bank and they have no idea about your industry, okay, make it simple for them to understand. Use visual aids. Okay, pictures sometimes speak a lot more than words. Close by reinforcing the nature of the opportunity. Be clear on the ask. That is what you're asking from the lender. What do you want from the lender or investor, and why do you want it? How much money do you want from them? Why? Be prepared with details for potential lender investor questions. So usually people just don't sign over the $1,000,000 and say, here you go, see you next year. Okay, they're going to have some questions. Okay, and follow up after you present with them to see if they have any other questions, if you can meet again, because it shows that you're committed to getting things moving. And sometimes lenders are busy, and after the first meeting they're not going to even contact you because they want to see you have some enthusiasm and you contact them again. Okay, conclusion. Like a strategic plan, the business plan should be revised as conditions change. There's no guarantee for success. Creating a business plan will be valuable primarily because of the process itself. So writing the business plan is valuable just on its own. The business planning process may provide insight to increase the chances of success. The business plan, entrepreneurs benefits, lenders, investors demand it. Okay, so it's a requirement for any good investor to want to see your business plan. And we are finished. So this was Unit 4. So the quiz, Units 1, Units 3, Units 4. At the end of any unit, make sure you see if there's any links to other resources and review those resources. In D2L, there are some in-class activities. Do those in-class activities. So if you know these slides, you follow the links, read some of the stuff on the links, do the activities, you'll do well on the quiz. Okay? Good luck on the quiz. This is Units 1, 3, and 4. And I'll see you next class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.